Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Awakenings with Michele Meiche, the weekly dose of spiritual and metaphysical insights and information for navigating the soul path. Listeners are invited to call into the show for a reading or with questions and comments. Call 347-539-5122 and press 1 on the keypad. Also, join the Sacred Space of Empowerment live chat. To create a username, register with Blog Talk Radio. It's great to connect with all of you here.
Hey everyone, welcome. If you're new to the program, I'm Michele Meiche. You've been here a while. Hey, big hugs. We have a really good time here. If you're new, welcome to the community, and if you're listening in the chat, that's great. If you have a question or a comment, you can call in at 347-539-5122. Hello and wonderful shout out and hugs to everybody that has been leaving your appreciation feedback on iTunes. We're available in other podcast outlets also, TuneIn Radio, iHeart. Gosh, what else is there? FM Player or Player FM. I always get that name mixed up. So wherever and however you listen to us, glad that you join in. Many of you know I've been doing readings, pick a card readings, and actually channeled readings also on my YouTube channel, Michele Meiche. You can go there, MicheleMeiche, or also Light Being 21. I'm going to have a new Soul Playground banner soon as I get through writing my 3 little sentences I'm supposed to write. But shout out to Jen, who's helping me put this together. So, and of course, shout out to Sadie, who keeps Awakenings humming. We've got some great people that help us. Josie, Angela. I feel really in a blessed mood right now. I do a lot anyway, periodically, but I know myself, as along with a lot of other people, have really been going through it this year. And like I said last year, you guys, you know I will always give you the real deal. You know, people were 11 cycle. It's going to be amazing. And it is amazing. You know, we're all being updated, up-leveled, to connect more to our soul and for more soul expression and less ego expression. But a lot has been coming up in regards to your relationship to your higher self, your inner self, the spiritual aspect of your being, other people, and as well as a lot of testing and tempering. So I'm going to chat a little bit on that. Also want to just give a little pause, a little silence with some wonderful intentions for an amazing client of mine, Angela. Some of you know her, that crossed over. She's actually been coming to me and actually given me some great insight or advice. And in her words, Missy, you helped me all these years, and now I'm going to return the same. So she's, those of you that know her, firecracker, very positive, very, expansive being, and really took the lesson to her passing with cancer. And she said, I know what the lesson is with this. My heart is open. I'm opening. I feel so much love now, so much support. And it was just beautiful to witness that. So big hug to her, and also to Vicki, who's, I think, probably listening. Big hug, been support. I get a little gnome from her. She also gave me a little lapis unicorn, or agate, blue agate unicorn, and Danielle, who's traveling. So lots of change for people, right? So what I'd like you to do, just invite you, I'm kind of in this mood. Maybe you can hear my decaf. My stovetop espresso, but I do it with decaf. Let's right now, just open up, take a breath, pause, and as you breathe out, feel your heart opening more. And just think about right now who's in your life and who's been there, who's supporting you. That somehow you always come out of it, whatever it is that you're going through. You do come out the other side. And just feel that love, feel that support. Support is a form of love, you know. Let go shout. And even for our community here, just how we interconnect. We've got a great guest today, Jude Currivan. Amazing, amazing being. Many of you know of her already. Read her books, listened to her CDs. I think she's got 8 books out, but we're going to be talking about the cosmic hologram. She's amazing. And just feel in that silence. What do you feel? What do you see? I know a lot of you are experiencing challenges and it looks bleak, or a lot seems to be disappearing, or there's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of the unknown. But just while you're listening to my voice, I'd like you to just notice that you feel support, even though you don't see me, but you hear me, you feel me. Some of you may even have me on in the background, and maybe I seem a little distant, but you know I'm there. So in many ways, these eclipses, that's what it's teaching us, reminding us. It's really a memory that we have within us that's been layered over, covered over by a different game that we were playing. And so it is really about reconnecting through our spirit to the soul aspect of us. And what does that mean? That means our design, our original blueprint, the original us, our authenticity. Many of you, some of you more than others, some of you have been way off path or been over-obligated to other people. And, you know, or a lot of people motivated by fear. I'll never get married again. I'll never have a relationship. I'll never find love. I'll never be in love. I'll never take a chance again. I'll never be able to do what I really want to do. Or I'll never be able to have that dream job. I'll never be able to move. These program our mind, okay? And there are feelings and emotions connected to these kinds of thoughts. This is why I'm bringing my high vibes back. Those of you that are interested, I'm going to do it on the 11th. I've been working with the energies of these planetary cosmic energies. Some of it is through the, you know, eclipses. Some of it you can say it's through the eclipse energy. But really the moon cycles. And I got guided in February to start working back with what we call moon magic. And I'd gotten away from that a bit. You know, as a shamanically trained, we work a lot with the moon cycles, you know, not just the solar. We work a lot with the feminine energy, which is through the moon. And it's actually a lot quicker for manifesting and finding out what's really going on. If you know, new moon, or as the moon is waxing, as the moon is getting fuller and fuller to up to the full moon, is the time that you want to focus on what it is that you want. What it is, that's why people, if they cut their hair on the full moon, it's to grow back faster. If you cut it back on the waning moon, when it's getting less and less, it grows back slower. So we are, I don't know what it is, 75, 77, 80, 85% different people, water. So connecting in, and water is the blood, okay? Within the blood, the electrical aspect of us, there's also iron in that blood, right? You know, all the minerals are electrical. But the water part of us is receptive, is open. And it is about finding the flow that you're in and not resisting it. You know, I always give the example of this, those of you that swim or have ever, you know, I once was caught in a riptide, and I remembered what somebody had told me. It was quite frightening. And I can be a little bit as strong and as strong as courageous as I am. Certain things just freak me out. And I do love swimming. But, you know, I could go into a little panicky mode. So the what seems to be counter logic is to swim with the riptide. You actually swim with the current. And then within the current, who knows, a little jog of nature. There's a little opening that happens. There's a little, the wave does a little thing. It gets a little calmer. You know, it shifts, And that's when you swim back towards the shore. You don't fight the rip tide because it will bring you down. So some of you surfers out there, major surfers, swimmers, you know this and you've been taught this. And it actually works, but you're going at a zigzag. Okay, I just had a little drink of my Synergy, Watermelon Wonder Synergy. Very good. So that's what's happening right now. We're being zigzagged. And you can say with all these retrograded planets, the solar, lunar, solar eclipses are causing this kind of zigzag, right? I'm just saying hi to people in the chat. And a lot of it, and believe me, it's part of, okay, here's what I want to say. It's our constructed nature. It's what we've been taught in the old paradigm, is to fight or resist to make something happen. But now we're learning more of the soul way. This part of the soul alignment, it's also called the root awakening in the awakenings cycle, because if you fight, boom, slap down, boom, right? Also, people are awakening to their choices. What are the choices? How have they been living their life? What kind of pickle have you gotten yourself in? Some of you have already been awakening, and so your stage isn't so abrupt, isn't so rude, isn't so disrupting. But mind you, if it is disrupting right now for you, or very rude, very jarring, be compassionate with yourself. You know, this isn't about, you know, what type of awakening are you having. The fact is that you're getting woke, right? You're getting woken up. That's the most important part. So some people have asked me, okay, how do we deal with this energy right now? And actually, I'm going to do a video on this on the YouTube channel. So check it out and subscribe, please, if you feel a resonance. And then also my blog, soulplayground.life. I'm actually going to dive into the chakras, which chakras are being affected for each sign or element, because this is about using it all, the fullness of our being and our life expression here. You know, whether it's animal medicine, opening to the animals, opening to the trees, the plants, opening obviously to other people, opening to your own inner guidance. It's really about the magic and mystery of life and being a part of that. Not just, in a workshop or a seminar with certain people, but as a way of life. This is why the ego is so thwarted right now. Believe me, I know some things that are going to be happening, and oh my God, it's so interesting. I can be, I feel like some certain things I've been waiting a long time, 10 years or more. Everything in divine timing. It's easier for me to guide people into that than live it myself. Especially when you've been patient a long time. See, some of us are going, hey, we've been patient. We've been doing this. We've been doing that. Where the heck is the payoff? But again, it's the timing. And the timing isn't always just about us. It's about other people in our life or that we're meant to connect with, as well as the group dynamic, the collective timing, what fits into the zeitgeist of the time. And one way that I can describe this is, though I think typewriters are pretty cool, somebody right now that perhaps wants to, mass produce typewriters to compete with smartphones is not a great investment. The zeitgeist has moved differently. So some of you, this is why there's delays, and Robert Wilkinson, those of you that are just listening to the show or new to it or missed this episode, go back. I think it's been 2 weeks now, maybe 3. We had Robert Wilkinson on, he's astrologer and futurist, and he, we kind of tag teamed. I was tuning in, and he confirmed a lot of what I was saying with astrological aspects. So it was really cool, and he brought some further tangibility and, astrological understanding and reasoning as to why this is happening. And he saw as well, October on, things are really going to open. Part of it is your higher self doesn't want us, making mistakes, getting committed into something or overcommitted or acting out of fear instead of coming from the highest aspect of your being, which is the soul. That's the new game. So this year has been all about testing that. Like saying, these are the new rules. These are the new rules. The ego manifestations aren't going to have as much juice. You've got to learn to wait. You've got to learn to connect in more, to meditate more, to pause, to be in the void, to not fear the unknown. Know that your higher self is orchestrating in everything, even though on an ego level, we don't see it coming. You know, we might feel it, but then, of course, we doubt it because we are trained to focus on what is tangible, what we can taste, touch, and feel. This is why all the work, you know, I do my teleworkshops with the subtle energy, because that is we are part of the subtle energy. And so when you're drawing in something or manifesting something, it's already there in the etheric field. You know, well, it's in the astral. It holds enough of a frequency. And as it gets closer to denser physical manifestation where you can taste, touch, feel it, you know, experience it, it waits a little bit in the etheric. That's why we get impatient. We're like, God, I can feel it. Where is it already? However, the thing is, there is no time in divine right timing. So we're all being redirected and kind of schooled to live more in synchronistic timing. So what I would say to all of you, and what also helps me, is look at who or what is in your life. What does it represent? That's the direction to go in. So it's not going to be so much, there still is timing. In fact, I did a reading for someone the other day, months ago, I think February or March. And I said, you're going to meet somebody in July, and you're going to date somebody and hang out with them, and then you're going to meet someone at this time at the mid-July, and then you're meeting someone in October, and it boom, boom, boom happened. That happens? Yes, it does happen. However, in the bigger scheme of things, in the bigger arch of things, it's your connections, whether people, places, or situations and circumstances, and that includes jobs, careers, moves, is going to be by synchronistic timing. So it's going to be easier to tune into the timing. And I don't know if you guys can hear this, but my neighbor has a blower on. But I got to open the door because Yoshi wants to come in. Come on, Nelly. You little stinker. Sorry about that, you guys. Home studio, and Yoshi rules the roost. Those of you who don't know, that's my little doggy. I could feel her telepathic intention saying, let me in, let me in. So when I feel that, I have to let her in. Even though she won't, she'll just stay there with the intention. And there's a good example. Thank you, Yoshi, for that. See how I felt that? Now, obviously, she's connected to source energies, right? She's an amazing being, as a lot of animal beings are, and human beings. But I'm opening the door for her. I am her source. She trusts that with her intention, I don't care if it's 3 a.m. in the morning and she wants to go outside, because I don't use a doggy door. I don't need to. And my cats were like this, and my previous doggy was like this too when I was in my 20s. If you're open to it, I will wake up, I can't even tell you, out of a dead sleep. I mean deep, deep sleep. And I'm like, I can't believe it. She can't be. And I will get up. I come in the living room, come to the back door, and there she is sitting there staring at the open door to my bedroom. She wants to go out. I open the door, trot, trot, trot. She goes outside, does her business, comes back in, and goes to sleep. Now, I'm not saying this is so easy, but this is where we are all going. So, what's Tamara saying in the chat? Yoshi confirmed. Yes, yes. Hey, everyone. Hey, Laura, Gemini Moon. Hey, guests. Welcome to Creator's Dream. Yeah, so that's kind of that. Thank you, Yosh. Thank you very much for that. That totally gives the example of what I'm talking about and where we're going. And so that when we have that level, which we're all getting there consistently, where we know that what we're intending, what we're focused on, and what we're intending, what we've been envisioning, first of all, it's coming from the higher self. If it really has a lot of juice and you can feel it, taste it, and feel it, the form might be a little different or a little little different shape. If you're looking at a purple box, it might be lavender. It could be a little different. But that trust that, yes, what we're not just receiving, because we're receiving from the higher self, right? We're receiving what's next in our soul's unfolding. That's where we're getting the inspiration, right? That's why I say soul fuel. We're being fueled now by our soul, by our passion. Those of you that are feeling this, you feel me, right? We want what's real. It's like, hey, give me that whole apple pie, whatever. Give me that kale. Give me the taste. Let me live more fully. And so you get more juice, the spirit. You get more energy. You get more life force animating energy living this way. This is why if you've ever seen people that are really living truly fulfilled and with a strong sense of self and purpose, not necessarily narcissistically, but really not necessarily that, but living really fully, even if they're sick. I've seen people that are sick or have terminal illness that have so much energy. My dad was kind of like that. It's interesting. I'll reveal here a little. Even with all his flaws, and he had them, boy, did he have the joie de vivre of getting up and just, I talked to the person in the market. I went to the gas station. He loved, I don't even know why, because I like Miss Gourmet, right? I mean, I'm very down to earth aspect also. I love camping and that kind of stuff. But I cannot stand like American coffee or too acidic coffee. And I like deep, rich teas and green teas. And my dad, I'd come over with these great coffee blends for him. And he's, honey, I already got my coffee. And it was like from the 7-Eleven or AM PM mini market. Those of you that live in, the United States, I don't know that Europe has it. Probably, I've never seen it. I don't think you have a counterpart. But it's, sorry, I hate to put you down, 7-Eleven, AM PM, but it's horrible coffee. But I think the thing that he liked the most, and this part I probably got from him, is that he loved chit-chatting with the people that worked there. They knew him. Hey, Val. Hey, Valeriano. Hey, Mr. Meiche. Especially the young kids. He'd kid them around. Going to college? What are you doing? This and that. Got a girlfriend? Got a boyfriend? I think that was it. But that's what we're kind of being asked to slow down and really see and feel is without the money aspect. Not that money's bad. It's great. It's a fun game. But there needs to be reprioritizing. What is that interconnectedness that's moving you out of over-consuming into creativism, right? I did a talk on this years ago at a tech conference, moving out of consumerism into creativism, into connection, out of disconnect. When we feel disconnected, that's when we overdo, whatever it is, overwork out, overeat, overspend, over drinking, over whatever, over gambling, whatever, over. Because the soul wants to connect. It likes different experiences and different people. It wants to know. It wants to reach out. So part of what's happening during this eclipse season is where our conditioning is stopping that or numbing that to true connection. That's where the shakeup is happening. That's where the disruption. That's where the tumultuous feelings. That's where the sadness, the grief is coming in. The why didn't I, whatever. It's coming in so that energy can be freed up to be recalibrated and therefore requalified. The energy can change the quality of it so that you can live more fully. And so the areas that will be highlighted is moving people into more self-expression, whatever that means for you, creative, artistic, self-expressive. And the main way that we are creatively expressing and connecting to our self-expression or soul expression is through creating our life, creating our reality by our thoughts, our feelings, right? So there's going to be a lot of focus on words, on ideas. I just thought this morning, early this morning on a news show, I'd like to watch these things and see what's the intersection, how is the universe, all that is, how is God reflecting these changes? How are these changes being guided by the spiritual hierarchy, the oversouls, through different forms of media, and even what seems to be conservative media or whatever, There's a lot of talk right now about not only authenticity, but what's right. The First Amendment, what's hate? Hate, these words that go out into the world, they have a carrier, that emotion is a carrier wave. They create an ambiance. They create a mission that it is alive. Words are alive. Thoughts, when we start shifting our words, our thoughts begin to change. And therefore our emotions and our feelings. And when our feelings start to change and our emotions start to change, when we feel safer, then our words change. So there's a wonderful interplay. Tamara in the chat is saying, so our soul expression is our way of connecting. Yes. What you all are going to find is you're going to be showing up, not just saying, how do I fit in here? But by the virtue of how you are uniquely, you will find where you organically or naturally fit in, meaning your gifts are needed. Just how you are is needed. There's not a lot of contorting and saying, they need this right now, so I better be this. No, you show up as you are. You like that, Michele. Thank you, Tamara. Yeah, the best connection, as we're more and more connecting to our true sense of self, as we're more and more connecting to ourselves, that gets reflected out, that gets transmitted out, right, into the ethers, into the world. This is what resonance is. This is why I keep harping on this. Law of attraction naturally happens. You don't have to focus on law of attraction. What you do need to focus on is resonance. Are you resonating with the right people and situations? So in other words, as I resonate more with my true self, as I'm clearer about what I need and want, and I live that, then I attract that. Some of you saw, and by the way, she's going to be on our program. She's amazing being, Bianca de la Garza. I've been wanting to do commentary. But also commentary, I think I mentioned this to you guys, on, social media, because I do like trends, and as a psychic channel, I'm able to tap into trends and see where they're going or what's underneath, what's really happening. Like, why do we have less soap operas? I think only 1 or 2 now in the United States. Why, the whole real people, real stories movement that I predicted in the 90s to my TV film and there's, oh no, Michele, you're wrong. But I work a lot with network executives. No, you're wrong. This is only happening because of the writer's strike. I said, no. This is part of the new paradigm, the Aquarian age, where the playing field is level. Reality program is really going to take off. People want to watch real people with real stories, not things that are sitcom-y. Oh, no. That's only going to happen, for 6 months, Well, no. What do we see? Reality programming. I want to share something with you. I just had this epiphany in my meditation the other day, this high level that's happening of entitlement with a certain group of people, the techie entitlement, the entitled generation. What I sense by really looking at it, it's the first wave of people waking up and saying, hey, it's my life. I have a life. I'm special. Because if you look at, especially from all of history except for the aristocrats, many of us have been taught, and it's taught in schools, taught in families, not to really shine, not to outshine people. Children are to be seen and not heard, be kind of quiet. It was even worse in the 30s, around the Depression, nose to the grindstone, the 60s had a little heyday, but it didn't really go anywhere. So now we have a generation, and I don't feel that it's just age specific, because I've seen some older people, 40s, 50s and on up, that still have that entitlement. It's a certain culture that they think they're the shizzle, right? The fizzle shizzle, to do a little Snoop Dogg there. But it's actually a good sign, because it's the neophyte. Once it's tempered more with the awareness of the Aquarian energy. It's just, we're in the Leo-Aquarius axis. It's just a preponderance of the Leo. It's the less evolved Leo. It's the first rung of Leo that says, look at me, without saying, hey, look at me and look at you too. And let me shine while I allow you to shine. Everybody shines. So it is that, what I say, that spectrum from tolerance to respect to honoring. And I do feel that it will turn around. I do feel that it is the ego personality getting a glimpse of the soul and not knowing what to do with it quite yet. But that will be changing. Tamara's asking, when we give from our soul expression, we create the pure form of resonance. Yes, it's less diluted. Absolutely. Okay, I think we have time for a question or two while we're waiting for Jude. Hello, 201-919. You're on air.
Hi, Michelle. This is Shannon.
Hey, Shannon. Welcome. Do you have a question?
Thank you. Yeah. So I'm hearing all that you're saying, and I'm in school right now. I'm in graduate school. I'm like 2/3 of the way to getting a teaching degree.
Very cool.
I came in wanting to study environmental education, also science education. And now where I'm at, I'm going to be doing student teaching in the fall, and so like doing a lot more general education stuff. So I'm feeling like inclined to be like, oh, let me just be open and see the schools need and what kind of teachers they need and stuff. But also like right now, as I'm taking a class that's about art and science together, and it feels like so great that I also want to also just think about like going in really strong, saying I want to do this environmental education. So I guess my question is like, as I'm getting closer to working, should I be kind of more open or like really like stay with my focus and work hard to try and achieve that?
Well, I feel be both.
Yeah.
The soul always, spirit always says both or and. The either or comes from the ego. Mm-hmm. So you don't know yet what your experience is going to be until you're in. Whoops. You got to mute yourself. I can't. There's so much noise.
Sorry.
Shannon? Yeah.
Yes.
So,
I'll do that right now.
Okay, thank you. So, yes, or get in a place where it's quiet. So you don't know yet. So we come in fueled up. We have an idea of what we want. That's very important. That's connecting you to your vision. But we need to be open because the vision may change a bit. The players may change. By the time you graduate, there might be a different piece that you don't have yet or know. There may be a different opening. So it's a bit of both, right? It's, be open to the higher directive of your higher self, and that things, if you have a vision but yet you're open, it can even be better than what you could even imagine.
Yeah, okay. And I was hearing what you were saying, which is like don't just go for like, oh, this is what they want and they want someone to do this job. Because I think sometimes I can like be like easily lose my sense of self too. So I have to be careful about that. Like to just fit myself into whatever.
Yes, I mean sometimes there's transitional jobs that we take that may not be the ideal, but there's something to learn there or a connection to be made. That's fine. I feel like you need to be a bit more just in the student mode and the learning and opening and growing. Have a vision over to the side, but you're trying to figure it out before you're even in the experience of it, before you're even getting a job interview, right?
Yes, totally.
Yeah. So just be a little more in the present.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, all righty. Sounds good. Let's see, is Jude, okay. Not on the phone. Maybe I'll call her. Let's see. Okay. All right. So today we're going to start a little bit earlier with our guest because we have Jude Currivan on, and I love every minute that we get. So I want to see if this is her on the line. So many of you know of Jude from, like I said at the top of the program, her, prolific writing history, the books that she has and CDs out. She always has a pulse on where we are and where we're going individually and as a collective. And I feel that part of that is her background in quantum physics, but also as a cosmologist, astrologer, as well as the circles. Some of you know that she spoke at the G20 conference, and she's able to see what I was talking about earlier. Where are the trends and where are we fitting? Her most recent book is The Cosmic Hologram, the Information at the Center of Creation. This is the first book of the Transformational Trilogy, which won a Silver Nautilus Book Award for 2017. And she's also now currently writing book 2 of it, Gaia, Her Story. So let's welcome to the program, Jude.
Michele, hi.
Hello, Jude.
Michele, hi.
Hi, Jude. Hi.
Hello.
Oh, my gosh. Great to hear from you. Oh, my gosh. When I saw that you were going to be on the program, I'm like, oh, my God, with all these eclipses, talk about cosmic hologram. We're in the cosmic hologram. I mean, I think we're waking up to realize we are in a cosmic hologram.
Absolutely. It's been extraordinary. Since we last spoke, this whole sort of understanding is getting such incredible traction. And, of course, what it does, I was hearing a little bit about what you were saying before I came on, and it's this reflection, this mirroring of each to ourselves,
Yes.
And this whole expansion of what Einstein called the circle of compassion. I call it the spiral of compassion because it's me and we and all.
Yes.
And the whole thing with a hologram is it's the whole within the most, the smallest pixelation, and each of that within the whole. So I loved what you were saying before I came on, and it's exactly that. It's the embodiment of the cosmic hologram.
Yeah, now what do you think? I feel like especially this year, the last, I would say about February on, last 4 to 6 months, we've really been pushed into it. I mean, there is like no getting out of it. And we're like, if somebody has a way of doing it back the ego way, just let me know. I just don't see it. I don't see it or feel it with myself and other people. What do you make of that? It's. I know you see your books are always ahead, and then we start, living it out. And I do feel that's definitely with this book as well. What do you make of the transition, the shifting that's happening as it's relating to this cosmic hologram and the new information, the information that's coming in that's creating the new forms?
Well, very much. I mean, Ken Wilber and Dustin DePerno spoke for a long time about, this is a time when we can wake up, grow up, clean up, show up. And I'm adding 2 more to that. I'm adding link up and lift up. And for me, the linking up is very, that is the embodiment of the cosmic hologram. So when we get to a point, as you say, when we're beginning to really move beyond that ego-based perspective, and we're seeing the bigger picture, and we're seeing our relationships with each other, with ourselves, with each other, with our beloved Mother Earth, with the cosmos, we're beginning to sort of wake up and grow up, and then we need to clean up our stuff and all the traumas that we've held, and then we can literally show up. But if we just show up as individuals, that isn't enough, because emergence, of conscious evolution is about linking up. When a caterpillar begins to metamorphosize into a butterfly, the caterpillar breaks down. All the DNA of the caterpillar starts to break down, and the DNA of the emergent butterfly starts to come up, and that emergent DNA is what's called imaginal cells. And imaginal cells don't just form as individual cells; they form as little clusters. And the more they cluster, the more they differentiate. Yeah, but the more they differentiate within the body of the butterfly to come. And that is what I'm sensing at the moment, is as we sort of are becoming the imaginal cells of this emergent, possibility.
Oh, I love that.
They're literally picking up.
Yes. And what I'm finding, and I'm wondering with your travels, if you're seeing this in other arenas and specters, I mean, people that are, having this kind of conversation that we are, as even those that may not be having a conversation but are responding to this, I'm feeling I'm being guided by my own imaginal cells waking up, and I'm finding other imaginal cells that are wanting to co-create. They're co-creating a different reality, but it's meshing with mine. It's that's of the unity, of the oneness, of being more supportive, of mindful of the thought, that it's just this natural kind of converging. Now, are you seeing that happen more and more?
Very much so. I mean, a couple of stories for you. I mean, I've been on the road for the last 2 months in throughout Europe and in the US, East and West Coast and between. And a couple of thoughts on that for you. First of all, just synchronicities, because synchronicities, as you and I both explored so often, are our way showers to the linking up and the lifting up. And I was in Santa Barbara a few weeks ago with a group of friends, the Evolutionary Leaders Circle, and we'd been there, and this whole sense of linking up and lifting up was very present. And then I went up to San Francisco for a couple of days just to have some private meetings, and I was staying at an Airbnb. And I arrived late the night before, and then the following morning I was with the lovely owner of the B&B in the kitchen having a cup of tea. And she hadn't met me before, and she said, "Oh, what do you do?" And this is early in the morning. I'm tired. What do I do? Oh, Lordy. What did you say? So I said, I wake people up. I help people to wake up. And she sort of looked at me, and then she said, before that, she said, by the way, there's a couple here who stayed last night. They're going to leave in half an hour, and then we'll have the place to ourselves. Okay, very quiet. And then she asked me this question, and I gave this answer. And then the door opened of this couple's bedroom. This is in a suburban part of San Francisco, never been there before, just arrived, all the rest of it. This lady walks towards me and says, "Are you Jude Currivan?" I said, "Yes." She said, "I love your book, The Cosmic Hologram." But I know. But even more than that, she is a wonderful woman who is a transformational leaders consultant. So she goes into corporations, big corporations, and works with the managers there and the teams there and all the rest of it. And what she does is she looks at what she feels are the best ideas that support conscious evolution. And she loved the cosmic hologram. So what she wants to do is to bring its message of unity and diversity and differentiation, but not separation, into her work. But, that synchronicity of being in that place at that moment with that person who's going to leave in half an hour, we may never have met, and instead she's inviting me to add this message to all that she's doing. So this is what I mean. I just feel this link, and as you say, Michele, it's natural. I didn't have any clue that was going to happen.
No, right?
But if we show up, we can link up. Because the spirit and the universe and the cosmos is so meeting us more than halfway. Because a lot of what I'm saying now, and what I wrote in the Cosmic Hologram, is our universe it is hardwired for evolution. Our universe is hardwired for evolution, and the evolution of consciousness and self-awareness. So as we step forward, the universe steps towards us. And that's what I feel is happening. And when I go around the world and, this convergence of science and spirituality, I'm hopefully speaking at the Parliament of Religions in Toronto in early October. But I've also been invited to speak in India at the World Parliament of Science, Religion and Philosophy. There is so much now that is beginning to link up and realize that when science becomes part of the solution with its new understanding of interconnectedness and consciousness being fundamental and not part of the problem, then this convergence with spirituality is natural, and we can expand our awareness. As you and I've said for many, many long years, the unified nature of reality and how unity expresses itself in radical diversity and the uniqueness of the individual as well as the collective genius of the we. So I'm really excited. I see a lot of breakdown as well as breakthrough. Yeah. You know, it's and, as you were saying earlier, it doesn't seem to be an either or, it seems to be an and. And if we look at emergence and evolutionary processes, thus it has always been. So we shouldn't be too, feeling that this is not, unusual or not right. It's challenging. It really is very challenging. And what we can do is to step into being our imaginal selves and being conscious co-creators. And you talked about I'd love us to explore some of the Aquarius Leo stuff, because I really feel that's very significant at the moment.
Yes, that Aquarius Leo axis seems to be right. We've got the shadow, or the lower level, the less evolved, and then the stellar version of it. So yes, if you can dive into that would be. And then what is it doing with Uranus and Taurus? That Uranian energy now coming into the Earth, right? So Leo,
very, very significant. Yeah, very significant. Yep. I mean, do you want me to respond to that, or?
Yes, I'd love you to. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, bless you. As you say, I mean, the Aquarian Leo axis is very important. Of course, we've just had a lunar eclipse in July, late July 27th, and we're coming up to a solar eclipse on the 11th of August. And the lunar eclipse was in Aquarius, and with Mars conjunct the lunar eclipse. So that whole sense of assertion and the question, are we going to use that energy for aggression or assertion and growth? And then we're, 11th of August in a solar eclipse in Leo. Are we going to use that for personal me-powerment, or are we going to serve it in empowerment? And I'm talking a lot at the moment, Leo, as you say, at this sort of ego level is all about control and power. But as we move into that sort of ego-free, transpersonal perspective, that stellar perspective, as you describe, we move into our authentic sovereignty of Leo, which cares for, and I talk about serveranty. When we really move into that service of authentic Leo sovereignty, we serve the greater good. We serve the higher purpose. We show up, we link up, and we lift up in service. So my sense is that, of course, lunar eclipses are like turbocharged full moons, and solar eclipses like turbocharged new moons. So this offers, it seems to me, a reset and a restart for us personally, if we choose to. And it offers us an opportunity to move into the me and the we of that Aquarian balance, and the me and the we and the all of that higher level of Leo embodiment. But it also has challenges and it also has dangers, because if we stick at the ego-based, then these two eclipses, lunar eclipse with Mars and the solar eclipse, which is conjunct Mercury retrograde, instead of sort of reflecting and growing, we reflect and go into those old paradigm runarounds again. So, as you well know, I mean, you are an absolute maestro and master of astrology. Astrology of itself is not judgmental. Astrology of itself is neutral. It's how we respond to its influences. So I do feel there's both, if you like any crisis, there's danger and there's incredible opportunity. And I'm focusing, of course, on the opportunity, and would invite all of us to do so.
Right. But I hear what you're saying. It's a choice. So it's an individual and collective choice point. Is that what you're saying, Jude? Is that what these eclipses
I think
are
we're
bringing
in that
up?
time. I think we're in that time, whether it's the eclipse is sort of our sort of touch points on all of this. But, I go back to 2007, 2008 when when Pluto went into Capricorn. And for me, it was a generational passage of breakdown and breakthrough that continues up to sort of 24, 25. And what we now have is all of the social and outer planets bringing their influences to bear on us making those choices, making those choices. And as you said, with Uranus in Taurus, I'm sure you have, and I'm sure many of the folks on it with us on the call have, is how much response Gaia has been making in terms of, the heat waves, the forest, the fires, the winds, the floods, the mudslides, all of it. Gaia, I feel, is saying to us, enough is enough. And with Uranus in Taurus, we have got an opportunity to wake up and do all the things that, in our deepest hearts we know are necessary. And I feel her responses of our not doing that are becoming ever more evident. So it's almost like, the 2x4 is coming unless we recognize the signs and our own inner call to wake up and show up and link up.
Yeah, and it is that showing up and linking up, that so being guided. Now, what it seems that a lot of tumult is coming up, especially I would say more with this the solar eclipse, or lunar eclipse rather, that seems to be bringing up a lot for people, and a lot of, I don't know, just undifferentiated energy, just restlessness. What do I do? Energy.
Absolutely.
So what is that about? What is that?
Well, the lunar eclipse, the lunar eclipse is on the 27th of July, and it will, it's partnering with the solar eclipse that's coming on the 11th of August. Of course, both of them really then work in partnership through a 6-month cycle until the next solar eclipse in January of next year. So for me, and certainly just before the lunar eclipse, I was incredibly, I felt very stressed, which I rarely feel stressed, but I really did feel it. And what it was playing out for me was in my closest relationships. It was really the Aquarian aspect of me and how do I relate with others. And for me, it was bringing up a lot of stuff that had not been, resolved, or that I'd not been willing to look at, or it really got me into knee-jerk response as well. I was finding that I was just knee-jerk responding for anything that wasn't sorted. One of the things that helped me enormously, and I I hope it's not too late to help everybody else on the call, but realizing that there was a knee-jerk reaction, not to go overboard, not to be rash, because what it was doing really was raising it to be reviewed, but not to make, jump off the cliff choices. I mean, I had a major, very, very, very rarely, but I had a big row with my beloved husband. And we both of us went afterwards, what was that about? And it, it was like, and it blew over, thank goodness. But in the real depths of it, either of us could have said things or done things that were awful. And that is very, very rare. So I just to share that, because if people are feeling that, just to say, just take a deep breath, please take a deep breath, and realize that the opportunity is to become more authentic in your relationships, but don't literally throw the baby out with the bathwater when these influences have been so powerful.
Yeah. Find a way to channel it, to be with it or channel it, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. I had the other day, I couldn't believe how I just had all this extra energy. Like anxiety, but energy, what to do. I was like, I exercised, I did some yoga, I did some stretching, I did this, I did that. And I was like, okay, you have no choice. You can't just jump out of your skin. You're in this, you know. You are in this now, you know.
Yeah.
Certainly brings a lot of awareness. Mm-hmm.
Yes, it does. And as you say, you know, it really felt that you're almost like jumping out your skin. It's like your body can't hold this energy. So how do you deal with it? And your advice is superb, because it's like you breathe into it. You do what works for you. You go into meditation. You do yoga. You take a walk in the woods. You know, you dig potatoes. You clear up litter. You do whatever it takes.
Yeah, the walking really helps.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And as constructively as possible, because it can go either way.
Now, Jude, is this the Uranus energy coming into Taurus? If we look at Taurus as the Earth, are we opening to more cosmological energy, or is it more? Is that part of the restlessness, or is that the Moon? Where is this? Because I've heard many people say that, either just like with what you had with your husband, you know, flash emotions, but also a lot of people they're impatient. They know something's happening, it's going to happen, but it's too slow, and they're anxious. Is it the combination of everything, or is it that Uranus in Taurus?
I think it's a combination of everything, but of course everything interconnects. So everything, all the influences are like a whole series of waves within an overall tidal shift. I think with Uranus in Taurus, it seems to me that all of the work that so many folks have been doing in this waking up and, you know, growing up and cleaning up, it's now really important that we show up not to step forward into coming together, but we really ground this understanding, and we ground it through the honoring and the love of Gaia, and we really connect with her at progressively deeper levels. We literally come into a communion with her at this time so that we can hear what she asks of us. Yes? At this time. And for me, that's what Uranus in Taurus is about. I mean, Taurus is an earth sign. Uranus is the great awakener, the great revolutionary. So how do we come into right relationship with Gaia? And I think we're being asked to really be very conscious of that now, because whatever we've been doing, you know, a lot of folks have been going into meditation and connecting with the cosmos, but it's like everyday living, everyday grounding, everyday communion with Gaia and all her children is now becoming so much more important, because we are co-creative evolutionary partners with her. And, you know, unless we really don't just recognize that, but literally realize that and live in that way, that will help her and her other children enormously. But it will also help us find ways of channeling and co-creatively serving the higher purpose of what's flowing through, in my perspective. Mm-hmm. And you know, so I'm just about to write Gaia her story, so I'm really boy, I'm interested. Yes, that's another amazing. It's almost like, because when you're talking about the cosmic hologram, and now you're starting to write the Gaia story, it's grounding that hologram into Gaia, you know, or it's earthing it, I believe, you know, in a sense. Very much. I'm so appreciative you said that, because it feels exactly that. You know, I talk about, you know, we've talked about before of head, heart, and hands, and for me, the cosmic hologram is the head bit, the think cosmic. But Gaia her story is the heart. The heart. It's a feel global. And then the third book is going to be Many Voices, One Heart, which is our human story, and that is the act local. So it's this grounding and embodiment of what unified reality means as a transformational healing of our worldview.
You know, as you were talking about the books, I was thinking of Atlantis and Lemuria. That when you're saying the head part with the cosmic hologram, and then Gaia, the heart, And it feels like, however we look at that, the intellect and reason or analyzing, and then the feeling, the sensing, the heart base, coming to the heart, the feeling, the opening, it feels like we're getting these new, which your books are a part of and illustrate, we're getting this new vision or something, archetype, I'm not sure, but it feels like something, because it's not going to be matriarchy, it's not going to be patriarchy. There's some new blending that we all don't know yet what it is. I feel you're getting a feeling for it, maybe even a vision or a picture. Something is coming through you in your writing to share, well, this is the possibility of this blending.
I feel it is, and I'm big on trinities, because for me, it's the divine feminine, the divine masculine, and from that sacred union comes the divine child. And so, if we sort of sense that, the Atlantis was very masculine in the mental sense, whereas Lemurian was very feminine in that sense, and the heart sense. But what we're doing now, it seems, is we remember and re-embody, what the ancients call the sacred marriage of the divine masculine and feminine, without not being a matriarchy or a patriarchy, but literally, the old perspective that it takes two pillars to hold up the sky. It's when we come into complementary expression of the divine masculine and feminine, which is within all of us, whatever gender we embody, then the divine child is birthed, is come forward, and the divine child for me is that Christed Buddhic perspective. That is for me our potential cosmic destiny through this sort of emergence of our conscious evolution. So that's my sense of this, and I've written about it a lot, but I've lived it a lot. My writings really come from my lived experience and all my researching, but also very much that direct perspective of what the possibilities of this can be.
And so when we're looking at, I want to get back to a second to the cosmic hologram, and you talked about this mirroring. Where do we, or how do we fit into this? And what's the message of what we're to open up more of? Is it spirit, ourselves? Because we would be a part of this, right? We are that,
sure.
right?
We are, in that sense, we are the microcosmic co-creators of our universal reality. I mean, what science is realizing now across all scales of existence and many, many different fields of research, and there's ever more coming forward since the book was published, is that mind and matter are not separate. They are essentially unified, and mind expresses itself, consciousness expresses itself, cosmic mind expresses itself as the appearance of physical reality. But the appearance of physical reality has some rules associated with it, which we call the laws of physics, but essentially they are algorithms, they are instructions that enable our universe to exist and evolve, and as a unified entity. So if we go back 13.8 billion years ago to the first moment of space and time within our universe, it wasn't born as in a big bang. It wasn't big. It wasn't an explosive bang. It was this incredibly fine-tuned and exquisitely ordered big breath. And so right from the get-go, our universe was sort of co-created by cosmic mind or spirit or great mystery or God or Allah, whatever term we want to use, to exist and evolve as a unified entity from simplicity to complexity. So literally, our universe is set up to do that and is hardwired for evolution. As my dear friend Barbara Marx Hubbard says, our universe has an evolutionary impulse. So we have meaning and purpose as part of that evolutionary impulse. We are the microcosmic co-creators of the realities of our experience of our universe. So if we choose to forget that unity in diversity, and of course science has told us that our universe is only materialistic and is separate, and that consciousness just is an accident that drops off the back of accidental random evolutionary processes, then it bereaves us of that understanding. But science is now realizing how wrong that paradigm has been. And as it really now becomes to, acknowledge that instead our universe is profoundly interconnected, is exquisitely set up to exist and evolve as a universe soul, and has this profound embedded evolutionary impulse, it offers us a remembering of who we really are. It offers us an acknowledgement that we, all of us, every single one of us, everything that is manifest has universal worth. We have meaning, we have purpose within this glorious diversity of our universe. And so this seems to me to be potentially a game changer, because what it's doing is it's converging with spiritual traditions throughout the ages, wisdom teachings, and spiritual inner practices and inner realization, and it's honoring those and saying they're not imaginal. They're not imagination. They're imaginal. They're not imagination. Yeah. This is what reality really is.
Yes. That's what I'm finding, Jude, that I love what you're saying. It's imaginal. It's not imagination, because it's so fantastical, but yet you get the confirmation. I mean, like your story with the book. But yet, and maybe that when are we, because we've been conditioned not to think this way and validate it, that I feel now we're in this rough patch of, okay, this is real. This is how it is. And I love the inner. There is this inner transformation, inner world. Yeah. And so we're having to kind of, hit our head and go, okay, yeah, you're right. This is not, I'm not making this up. This actually happened, and I got these confirmations, and it's happening. But then our mind goes back to the doubt, right? And not, thinking it's just imagination. I'm making it up.
Well, I think the problem has been that science has been part of the problem, because this old scientific paradigm, which is wrong, I mean, it is categorically wrong, has been telling us that, the universe is a big thing made of separate things, that evolution is random, that consciousness drops off the back of it accidentally, that the only reality is materialistic. And what I wrote the Cosmic Hologram for is to show the evidence, the scientific evidence at all scales of existence and many, many different fields of research that proves this is categorically wrong, and instead shows us the sort of the leading edge science and the evidence that reconciles with spiritual traditions and that inner knowingness of interconnectedness and ultimate unity and meaning and purpose and love, and that our universe is not a great thought. It's not a great thing. It's literally a great thought in the infinite mind of the cosmos. And this is so beautiful and so simple. And it actually is a restatement of understanding that goes back thousands of years. But for the last few hundred years, science has poo-pooed, and now is realizing that it's got it wrong. It's, science has given us great insights. It's offered us very clever technologies, but my goodness me, has that come with a cost? And, now, thank goodness, science is showing up to part of the solution and our healing, because our fragmented perspectives have driven our dysfunctional behaviors. So as we remember the wholeness of all that is, hopefully that remembering and saying, it is not imagination, this is what reality is.
Yeah.
We can come together.
I love that. You know, I had an experience a week or so ago. I was visiting someone in the hospital, and a client of mine, and she was, you know, unconscious, in and out. But the big difference that I saw was, I remember years ago, maybe 90s or late, visiting somebody, and I remember the nurses would say, they can't hear you. And I'd be like, yeah, they can. Oh, no, they're unconscious. If they blink, that's just, you know, something, you know, physical, da-da-da-da. This time,
Sure.
They would come in and say, you know, she can hear you. And I was like, oh, my God, they're actually saying that. They would come in and say, you can talk to her. She can hear you. She'll be able to hear you. And I thought, well, it's taken this long for them to, because of course they can hear. They're still in the body and floating around, whatever. They're thinking. But Jude, I thought, oh my God, that's so. It speaks to your point. It's taken a while.
Yeah.
So we're having
but it's
a
happening.
way to have to do. It's happening. Yeah, slow. It's slow. I thought, boy, they must have gone to some new class or workshop, or maybe it's in the training now, right? Because it was so opposite. I nearly wanted to just say, hey, you know, is this in the new classes now? Yes. And explain for our viewers, because I think this is so important, what you say, we're imaginal. It's not imagination. And how can people connect more to that, the fact and the energy of being, that we're these imaginal beings or imaginal selves? What would you say is the difference?
Well, first of all, just to go back to the analogy of a butterfly, when insects, they're called metamorphosizing insects, such as butterflies, they have two sorts of DNA. When the caterpillar is born, the caterpillar has a certain type of DNA, and the caterpillar's job is to eat, basically eat, lots and lots and lots, and just grow and grow and grow. So that's the awareness of the caterpillar. It just eats, okay? A time comes, though, where it's come to the end of that part of its life cycle. And naturally, it's not something I would have thought the caterpillar is consciously aware of, although it might be. What you get is the caterpillar starts to form a cocoon, okay? And it's eaten and eaten and eaten, so it's as big as it can be. It forms a cocoon, and in that cocoon, the caterpillar starts to break down. Its DNA starts to break down. Its body starts to go to mush. But as that happens, as that breakdown is happening, the second part of the insect's DNA is starting to be activated. And that is the DNA of the butterfly to become. So what happens is that begins with so-called imaginal cells that actually are holding the DNA template of the butterfly to come. Now what happens is, as the caterpillar DNA and the body is breaking down, its immune system actually attacks the imaginal cells of the butterfly to be. But those attacks actually strengthen the imaginal cells. And what the imaginal cells then do, through those sort of attacks by the immune system of the dying caterpillar, they get stronger. And they start to naturally come together. It's almost like safety in numbers, although it's much more subtle than that. Much more subtle than that. Because it's this part of this DNA, this emergent DNA of the butterfly, but those attacks help to you literally bring the imaginal cells together in clusters, and then they start to differentiate into the body and the organs of the butterfly to come. So all of this is that linking up that we've been talking about as the emergent butterfly is coming into form. And then the final thing is, as the butterfly breaks free of the cocoon, if you ever see a butterfly breaking free of cocoon, don't go near it. Don't try and help it, even though it might look bedraggled, because again, it is strengthened. It needs to dry out in the sun, but also it needs to struggle a little bit to fly, but that struggle makes it stronger. So it seems to me that without trying to fight the caterpillar of what's breaking down, we begin to sing the better song of the imaginal cells of being a butterfly, and we use the attacks or we use the challenges not to fight back, but to strengthen our own resolve and higher purpose, and linking up and saying, yes, let's come together and let's sing a better story, and let's do, let's act locally or do whatever we feel to help and be part of a solution, because that's how essentially the imaginal cells of the butterfly respond. They're getting ready to fly, and we're getting ready to fly.
So I feel we're in that breaking down. Now, it reminds me, this may be, boy, that's profound, Jude, to analyze it with where we're at. Because as you were talking, I was thinking about there's that part in the path where things seem to break down, old friends don't seem to fit, the job, whatever. Things are changing. They're being broken down, or it sounds like instinctually they're being eaten by the new DNA that's coming through. So we're very much like this then, in our own
I feel
unfolding.
So. Yeah. I feel so. And maybe instead of seeing it, because I think for quite a while, folks were sort of seeing this as a breakdown or breakthrough, but actually it's both. If you look at the, example of the caterpillar and the butterfly, it's the breakdown and the breakthrough. And in a way, the breakdown serves the breakthrough by challenging it. And the breakthrough is strengthened by not fighting the breakdown, but actually being lifted, essentially, by it to sing a better story.
So how would we best use that, the breakdown? Because it sounds like it's happening simultaneous by what you're saying, right? It's not one that happens. Yeah. It is. Okay. Yeah. So as soon as that one stage happens, it just kicks in. I guess it's,
well, you think of what's happened. Sure. I mean, you see what's happened in the States over the last couple of years, and, nothing, everything has a precursor. Everything has a build-up, even though you might not be able to see it. And what's happened in the US now, it seems to me, has been building up for some time. But what you're getting now is that, that breakdown and breakthrough. And that the choice really is for the breakthrough is not to fight the old, is not to play out the continued myth of separation, but to come together and support each other to embody the values and the principles that have made America a beacon of light, not to get into the division and the polarization and the fear and the blame and the judgment, but just to lift oneself and move into a higher perspective and not get caught up with the drama, because one of the things that the breakdown does is it's very good at radiating drama and radiating whatever.
Yes.
So, try not to get into that stress-based, fear-based, polarization-based, blame-based, hate-based, anger-based perspective. But just to appreciate that is part of a breakdown and breakthrough process.
I think how you explain it, and you didn't butterfly in that way as the analysis of what was going on, then they could be a part of, well, you're going to be a part of it anyway, but more consciously be a part and see what, and hopefully the breakdown doesn't take too long. That's the next thing.
That would be lovely.
Right?
Yeah, it will take as long as it takes. I mean, if you look at the emergence of conscious evolution and biological evolution, it literally takes what it takes. The more of us really, go through our own inner journey of waking up, growing up, cleaning up, showing up, and then step forward into that linking up, the more that there will be a vital tipping point of lifting up. So in a way, it is what it is, and it can happen very quickly. I mean, we've seen in the past, if I go back 4 billion years and I look at various sort of stages of evolution, and now it's more conscious evolution than biological evolution, it can happen very quickly if the conditions are able to support that emergence into a higher level of coherence. And that's what the linking up's about. So I would just invite all the folks, with us today and their friends. I've got a good friend, and this I'd like to share this with you because this feels really, I hope, helpful. Have you ever seen, when birds come together, these huge flocks of birds, and they move as if they were one, hundreds of thousands sometimes of birds.
Yes. It's it's amazing. It's how they know, even the one at the very end. Yes, it is quite incredible.
So how do they know? And this is what my friend researched, because she was really curious, like we are, and it's such a beautiful sight. You see the whole flock moving as a single entity. And bird researchers have realized that all that needs to happen is every bird needs to just know where the 7 birds around them, where they are and what they're doing. And that just ripples through the whole flock. Hundreds of thousands of birds.
That's right, the 7.
The 7. So what she does is she does this great exercise with people to say, look, if you're going to ripple out this throughout the whole world, just start by considering the 7 people around you. And she said, how do you feel about those? What's your relationship with those? Really ground it in that everyday relationship. And she talks about what is your relationship with each of these 7 people on a scale from 0 to 10. And it doesn't matter what the scale is, but is your relationship with your mother a 1 or an 8? And is your relationship with your brother or your husband or your partner or your child or your best friend, your friend, whatever, or your work colleague?
Right.
So the 7 people closest to you, just list those 7 people closest to you, and then along each side of, alongside each of those people, just rate your relationship with them from 0 to 10. If your relationship is below 5, what can you do to improve it? And not wait for that person to do something. What can you do? Even if you think it's their fault, they're behaving appallingly, what is it, if you want to heal that relationship, that you can do? And if you do that and get those 7 relationships up to sort of 7s to 10s, then the flock of millions of birds or millions of humans can fly.
I love that. That's like a movement. Yes, because it starts with us. It's always the individual that gets, even you're saying with these imaginal cells that, within us and that we are.
Yes.
The grouping.
Yes.
Boy, that's so powerful. I wonder how we can, everyone, get that out there. I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to bring that into my workshops. I think that's so powerful because the people, while you're talking about it, I was thinking about who's around me. And it's very high vibes, very in sync. But there was a time it wasn't. There was a couple that were not. And I notice a difference now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the 1 plus the 7, of course, is the 8. And I wrote a book called The 8th Chakra about the universal heart. And a dear friend of mine, Lynn McTaggart, talks about the power of 8 when you come together as 8 people and have intention of healing or love to other people. There's a sort of a backwash of that. But this 1 plus 7 is now a different way of working with 8, which is you plus 7 around you. But you then create an octave of consciousness, and each of those 7 with 7 around them co-creates another octave, that's how it spreads. And that's how love can spread as much as anything. It ripples. It ripples.
Wow. You know what I love about this, Jude, too? It gives people something to do, because I find very often people don't a lot of times realize that consciousness is inside job. You know, that it's not it's, you know, how we're living, and it's right. It's can't fool the universe. But this gives people something tangible to do, very proactive in their life. That's also good for them, but is also, you know, enacting or enabling that rippling effect, that just for the fact of raising the vibrational frequency. That's brilliant. That's
and I love what you said about you now notice that, you know, when relationships aren't in harmony, but, you know, that's something that all of us can do. And just keep an eye on that, and just, you know, it's an ongoing thing as well, isn't it? As you and I both know, this is a journey. But, you know, if we can improve any of those relationships from a 2 to a 4 or a 3 to a 6, you know, really our intention is to raise all of those 7 relationships around us into that 8, 9, 10 level. My goodness me, it's transformational.
Yeah, it's so empowering, and it's so individual, but yet it's affecting. Well, it's going to affect the 7 around you, and then then who they're connecting with as well. It is really
exactly
that mirroring that you talked about earlier.
Yeah, and that is the cosmic hologram, because it is that reflecting back and mirroring. And, you know, the mirroring will come to us. What we give, we do receive in many ways. And, you know, it's not an you know, absolute balance. But, you know, where we have the opportunity to really, you know, take a deep breath and make that difference in ourselves and reach out, in my experience too, the ripple effect is extraordinary.
And then it is embracing and really living that cosmic hologram that you talk about. It's really stepping into that, that we're co-creating this. We are making a difference by, you know, what we think, what we do, how we feel. Absolutely. It almost reminds me of you putting back in. You know, you're recognizing that you're putting something in to this experience.
Very much so. I mean, we're so much more powerful than many of us think we are, you know, because we're transceivers of information. We are information, and how we resonate, whether we're aware of it or not, we are radiating and receiving from others. So if we radiate love, if we, you know, in that 1+7 around us, you know, if we radiate love, then it will have its effect. And effects, and those effects will ripple. So I just love, this is Kalinka Jacobs, who's a dear friend, and she's been working with thousands upon thousands of people over many years with this, and it's so simple, and it's something that I think most people can really get, and it can be transformational, you know. Transformational.
I'm really glad you shared it with us, because I feel a lot of people listening will go, I can do that. You know, I can, you know, let me start with those that are around me. And I like what you said, ever so slight, whatever. If it's just you move it from a 1 to a 2 or 2 to a 4, but it's still going to be positively impactful. Oh, Jude, we're winding out of time, and just for this meeting, this moment, this has been, everybody in the chat, thank you so much. This has been amazing. People are just really mind-blowing in a good way. They're saying, thank you, Jude, for being back on the show. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. I always look forward to when you're on. I'm like, oh my gosh, here we're going to go. Let's get ready. Let's go. Because you're writing about, but you're living it. And what I love, too, is in your travels, you're coming across people from all walks of life, all sectors, and so you're seeing the kind of cross-pollination of what's going on. Yeah. And it's very empowering and inspiring, you know, to hear your news always.
Oh, bless you, Michele, and thank you, and everybody who's with us. And I'm always delighted to come back on the show because I love what you guys are doing and the community that you're building, and I always am honoured and delighted to be part of it.
Thanks, Jude. Until next time.
Until next time. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Michele.
Thank you. You see why I was so excited at the beginning of the show, those of you that are new listener participants. Amazing. I've read her book. It's amazing. Oh, well, the eighth chakra is amazing as well. But the cosmic hologram, it really gives a good underpinning as to what we're about and where we're going. So you can find out more information about Jude at judecurrivan.com. That's JUDECURRIVAN.com. And her recent book is The Cosmic Hologram, available where books are sold. Thank you all for being available, Awakenings, and co-creating this. And thank you those in the chat, grounding the energy. Really appreciate it. All your wisdom, insights, and input, and those that called in later, thank you so much. And those of you that are listening later by the archives, you're always with us. And we have a lot of listeners by archives, and that's great. Thank you for being a part of Awakenings. And for guest suggestions, topic suggestions, email questions, as well as wanting to know about upcoming Soul Path happenings or teleworkshops with me, you can email awakeningspodcast@gmail.com. And once again, our guest was Dr. Jude Currivan, and we were talking about The Cosmic Hologram, her most recent book. All right, everyone, until next time, continue to shine your light, share your insight, and, of course, keep awake.
Awakenings broadcasts every Wednesday, 12 p.m. Pacific Time. Archive shows are available on iTunes. For continued Awaken conversation and insights, join the Awakenings group on Facebook and visit Michelle's blog at soulinsightsforspiritledliving.com. That's soulinsights, the number 4, spiritledliving.com. Keep awake.